Hey guys, it's Dr.Sam Robbins. Today I'm going to talk about Clomid. Now, the first time I had heard about Clomid was probably about 30 years ago, maybe over 30 years ago, I should say, from the bodybuilding world. And later, when I had consulted about using Clomid with porn stars, and I'll tell you about that in a little bit as well. Now, I personally use it, a few years later, about 25 years ago. And I'll tell you why I use it. Well, mainly I wanted to naturally increase my testosterone levels. I didn't want to take steroids or anything like that. And some of the effects I got was I did notice after like maybe a week or two, my testicles definitely felt bigger. They were heavier. I always felt like I had blue balls, maybe because I was just producing so much sperm. And when, I had orgasms, I saw an increase in ejaculation fluid to the point that at that time, my girlfriend would joke around like having to wear a raincoat because so much came out. Um, However, at the same time, I noticed little by little that I started getting moody while I was on it. Maybe sometimes a little bit sad or depressed. And, I was in my very early 20s. Everything was good. I didn't have a reason for that. I never connected the two. Sometimes I'd even like cry for no reason. And again, I didn't know about it. And it also started after a while, instead of increasing my sex drive, even though I'm sure it increased my testosterone levels. I didn't test my blood at that time. After a while, it actually lowered my sex drive. Even though again, my testosterone, I'm sure, was higher. And I'll tell you about all the reasons why this had happened in a little bit. So if you're currently taking Clomid or you're considering taking Clomid, please watch this video. Just I don't want you to make the same mistakes I have. Maybe you're heard about it on social media, or maybe a HRT or TRT clinic is talking about it, or you see advertising about how Clomid is awesome and you don't need to take testosterone injections anymore. And this, one pill will do it all. And anyhow, let me just help you learn from my mistakes, and then do with it what you want. So today, I'm going to quickly talk about what Clomid is, how it works, and why it was originally used for, the two different types of Clomid, why one is better than the other and safer, the potential nasty side effects of Clomid, some that would already mention to you, and something that social media and the doctor won't tell you. Also, TRT, testosterone replacement versus using Clomid, which one is better or more effective depending on your goals. Also, what you should never do if you're going to be using Clomid. And then finally, if you're going to use Clomid, the best way to use it and to maximize your positive results while minimizing the negative ones. So first of all, what is Clomid? It's called clomiphene citrate, which I don't know if you can even read that. It's an oral medication and is classified as a SERM, SERM, selective estrogen receptor modulator. Now, there's another drug called Novadex that's also used as a SERM. It's also a SERM. It's used similarly, but for different reasons. That one is used for Novadex is used originally if you have breast cancer, and then Clomid is used for fertility reasons. And the way Clomid works is it basically blocks the estrogen receptor when you take it orally, and then in the hypothalamus, which then triggers a cascade of different hormonal events, such as by blocking the estrogen receptor, your body thinks, hey, I have low estrogen. And then in response to the low estrogen, your hypothalamus is going to produce more GnRH, gonadotropin releasing hormone, and that will increase and stimulate the pituitary to produce more FSH and LH. And all these hormones basically stimulate the ovaries to produce and release mature eggs in ovulation. Now, let's pause for a second. I said stimulating the ovaries. That's right. Um, Clomid was designed or is designed for women to treat infertility. Basically, you take 50 or 100 milligrams for 5 days, 50 milligrams for like 10 days, or maybe even 100 milligrams for 5 days. Basically 2 days after your menstrual cycle. And not that you see it at the bottom, you'll notice it says 10 tablets. 10 tablets, because that's what it's designed for 10 days or 5 days, depending on the dose. So now, again, if it doesn't work, you increase the dose. Again, this is for women. So another thing to pause. I said you're using it 50 or 100 milligrams for 5 or 10 days max. 5 days. Okay, 5 to 10 days. Yet these days, the HRT clinics are prescribing Clomid for men at 50 milligrams all the time, daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. That's right. All right. It's not 5 days. It's just all the time. So this is in of itself going to lead to problems, which I'll tell you about in a minute. Again, it was originally designed for women, but men can use it. And for similarly, like women, when men use it, there are no ovaries to be stimulated. The sperm basically causes testicles to produce more testosterone and sperm production. No ovaries, right? No producing eggs. This time we produce our own eggs, which is in our sense sperm. And the two reasons men are using it or prescribed for it off label is if you have low sperm count or if you have low testosterone. How did I remember earlier? I said men bodybuilders were originally using it. That's how I heard about it. Well, after the guys take their steroid cycle, and when you take steroids, the testosterone and all these different drugs, DECA and nandrolones, all these things, your testicles will shrink because your body is saying, hey, I'm getting all this extra testosterone from the outside. Let me turn it off inside. And what happens is once you get off the cycle, your body's not producing any testosterone because your testicles were taking a nap for a few weeks or months. So then you take Clomid, post-cycle therapy, PCT, you take Clomid with Nolvadex and HCG and so forth, and then it makes your testicles come back alive, they grow back in size, and so on and so forth. That's when I first heard about it. Then later on, when I used it for porn stars, basically it was to increase their money shot. Remember earlier, two reasons, even testosterone to get it back, right? And the second reason was to, if you have low sperm count, obviously porn guys don't have it. So I would tell them to use Clomid, and that's because I lived in the Valley back in the 90s, which is the porn capital of the US basically at that time. So I ran to porn guys all the time. We would talk about this and that, all this cool stuff. And one of the guys like, hey man, how do I increase my money shot in the movies? And I said, well, you have a couple options. One of them was HCG. By the way, if you want me to make a video about HCG, let me know below in the comment section. I'll do a full deep dive on that. And yes, I've used that as well. And I've used Clomid. And then I said, hey, you know what? Take it easy. Here, go get Clomid. And yep, increase their money shots and so on and so forth. But again, those guys only used it for about 5 days and they used some other things after. But I'll tell you exactly the protocols that the porn guys use that you can use as well. As far as the dosages in men, they're a little bit different than women fertility. Men basically use about 25 to 50 milligrams every day or every other day for at least 3 months to improve sperm perimeters. Remember, that's the reason if we were going to use it when the doctor prescribes it for increasing sperm, again, trying to get your wife pregnant or something to increase fertility. And it's, while in women, it's for 5 days, right? For men, it takes longer because sperm goes in different cycles, maybe takes up to 90 days to get them up and fertile again. Now, as far as the increasing in testosterone, that happens faster than the sperm improvements, usually within a week or two of taking it, maximum a month. Earlier, again, I mentioned HCG and Nolvadex. They both work differently. SERMs and HCG. Again, if you want me to talk about how you can use HCG to increase your testosterone levels or your ejaculation, let me know below in the comment section. If you're interested, I'll make that video for you. And I already told you about the porn star stuff and how they used it. Now, again, when they were doing it, the porn guys, they said, all right, they didn't want to have the side effects, right? So, because remember, I had used it at that time. I saw the side effects, and I'll tell you more about the negatives before. And the guy's like, dude, I don't want to deal with that bullshit later on. So I would prescribe it or tell them at that time. Obviously, I wasn't a doctor in my early, in those early 90s. And I would say, here's what the guy's using. Here's what I'm talking about, the bodybuilders and so forth. Just use it for about 5 days, maybe a week, and then use some specific herbs, and what I'll tell you about in a minute, to take off the rest of the time. All right. So use Clomid for about 7 days, let's say a week. And then for about 3 weeks to maybe 6 weeks, you use these different herbs. And it works in synergy because Clomid will increase your total testosterone, but not always your free testosterone. And then you take the herbs, and specific ones will also increase your free testosterone, help balance out DHT and estrogen, all these different things. It's a little bit complicated, but that's what worked great for them. Clomid for about a week, herbs for, let's just say, keep it really simple. If you want to do it every month, you do it 1 week of Clomid, 3 weeks of herbs, 1 week of Clomid, 3 weeks of herbs, and you can do that. Or I suggest longer on herbs and less on Clomid because it's just better. And the Clomid will work for at least another month when you take it, only for 5 days. And that's what you want. It keeps things best. It keeps things normal, keeps your balls big, keeps your the testosterone optimal, total and free testosterone, all of it by combining the two. And I'll tell you more about that in a little bit. Basically, back then we didn't have all the herbs we have. So these days, when I tell people, I tell them if you're going to do it, do Clomid and then just take a product like Alpha Viral, which I've been taking for over 25 years because of all these issues I had. So you just combine the two and you can get more details below about Alpha Viral. Now let's talk about the negative effects. You might be thinking, hey, Clomid kicks ass, man. How do I get some? Remember, all drugs have negative side effects, all of them. Now, the higher the dose, the longer the duration, the bigger the problem, the bigger the side effects. Even though the Clomid increases the testosterone because it blocks estrogen, again, you tend to still have estrogenic side effects. It doesn't make sense, but you have it. So again, such as being moody or maybe sad or even emotional, which is what happened to me when I took it. And even bodybuilders, when they took it for a while, they just didn't feel right. It takes care of it initially to get your balls going, but to stay on it all the time, not a good idea. And it slowly creeps up. It's not like it happens instantly, like you just took a bunch of estrogen and you're like, oh shit, I'm totally emotional now. It just slowly, after a few weeks, you're like, man, something is not right. And that's the reason. Now, the other problem I ran into and other guys do is even though the testosterone increases and initially your sex drive goes up and all these things, after a little while, for whatever reason, variety of reasons, hormonal cascade, shut down, up, down, your body always wants to go to homeostasis. You cannot trick it. You can trick it for maybe a week or two, right? But then always goes back to normal. I just noticed my sex drive started to slowly come down, even though my testosterone was probably higher. And the guys I've seen over the past few years, now that everyone's prescribing it and it's all fun and everyone's doing it, I get blood test results. I get people consulting me all the time. I consult them and they're all complaining about the same thing. Hey, dude, I'm not getting the same effects. Now things are even worse. What do I do? Should I up the dose? I'm like, no, dude, just going to make things worse. So just keep that in mind. That does the opposite. Remember, that's why I told you guys to do what I did a long time ago that happened now. Found out by accident with the porn stars these days, just like a week of Clomid, 5-7 days, and then you do herbs for another month or two, and then you go back. Now, there's one other major issue. Sex drive can come and go. The other issue is blood clots, which can thus result in a heart attack or stroke. Now, yes, it's rare, but it happens. They say in the research, less than 5%. But hey, I don't want to be a statistic, let alone those studies are based on, people using it for a month or a week or two, not month after month, year after year. All right. If you're going to have those side effects, potential side effects in just 5% of people, trust me, the longer you use it, the worse it's going to get. That 5% can become 10 or 20%, especially if you're older and already have potential issues. Typically, when older guys are using it, they're also not as healthy as, say, the 20-year-old that I was. Who cares? I could have screwed up everything and nothing's going to bad happen to me since I'm so young. There are some good news. There are two types of Clomid. There's another version called enclomiphene. All right. So there's Clomid and there's enclomiphene. Basically, Clomid has a mix of two isomers. One is the active, which is enclomiphene, and the second one is the zuclophene. I always mispronounce that, but that's the one that's more estrogenic, right? The zuclomiphene basically lingers around the body a lot longer, which can cause the mood swings and vision problems and like the estrogen side effects. All right. Now, enclomiphene is basically a newer one. It's a cleaner version. It tends to not have the estrogenic problems, which is cool. It also has a shorter half-life, which is another benefit. So it's in and out of your system quicker, basically less side effects. However, even the enclomiphene, the newer version that some HRT clinics are talking about, prescribing, which is better than the regular clomiphene that I've mentioned over here, which has both of them, not the enclomiphene only. There's no long-term safety data. All right. So beyond maybe a few months, just keep that in mind. I don't care what drugs you guys do. I don't care what you do with anything. I just want you to be safe long term. You guys want to have fun for a little bit, cool, but I just don't want you to have any issues. And the older you get, the more problems. But anyhow, if you're going to take the enclomiphene, you need a much lower dose, basically like half or a quarter of the dose. So instead of using 50 to 100 milligrams of the Clomid, the enclomiphene, you use about 12 and a half to maybe 25 milligrams daily. And again, I still suggest only about maybe 2 weeks max to use it. Again, if you can use it long term, do again 1 week of that, maybe 3 weeks of Alpha Viral, another herbal product, and then just go back and forth. Now, what's the difference between Clomid versus TRT, testosterone replacement therapy? Well, first of all, Clomid's a convenient pill. Take it easy, breezy. Um, Testosterone replacement is an injection, which most people don't like. The Clomid, it slowly increases testosterone levels, but it happens naturally, uh, internally, endogenously, inside, where the injection immediately, man, you wake up the next morning, boom, testosterone's higher, immediate positive effects initially, because that's exogenously. Clomid will increase and improve testicular function. Remember, increase sperm and so forth, because it's telling your body, your testicles produce more. While on the opposite side, the testosterone replacement therapy shuts down your testicles, all right? Because it's telling your body, hey, I already have a lot of testosterone. Stop making your own. We don't want to overload. Remember, homeostasis, your body just wants to stay regular all the time. And yes, not only does testosterone shut you down, uh, shrink your testicles, it also will decrease sperm mobility and production and all that stuff. Clomid should be cycled on and off, where the testosterone injection, you just take it all the time. That's a bigger problem. It's a lifelong commitment. I know people are like, oh, just get off. When you get off, it's hell again, back to normal. And some people, it takes a lot longer, especially when you're older. So keep that in mind. I remember the first time they did my steroid cycle, I was like, again, early 20s, mid 20s is a long, long time ago, like 30 years ago. Um, Things bounce back quicker, right? Now, fast forward 5 years later, I did like a little cycle again just to see what would happen. And it took me 6 months to get my testicles back to normal. And it was 6 months of hell. And yes, I did take the Clomid and I didn't take the Novadex and I did take the HCG. It took a while, man. And some people bounce back quick. I wasn't one of them. And the older you are, the harder it is. So some HRT clinics tend to combine both drugs, the Clomid and the testosterone, which obviously makes sense on paper, but it also, again, increases the negative side effects. Again, you don't want to be on Clomid all the time. And the longer you're on Clomid or another SERM, such as Novadex, the less effective it becomes over time because your body just becomes more resistant. Your testicles become more resistant. Even when you take HCG, basically it tells your body, hey, produce it. It's an injection form versus a Clomid, it's an oral form, and they totally work differently. Um, but similar results at the end, basically, you achieve it. You don't get the same results after a while. Even when you take testosterone, you're awesome the first couple of weeks. You're like, yeah, I'm a man. You boners all the time. And then your body adapts and it drops. And sometimes it gets worse. Then they have to manage your estrogen and DHT and then all these other problems. So that's why it's so much easier just to take Clomid because it's in and out of your system if you need to do it. So what's the ideal situation? Now that you know all the pros and cons, what should you do? Again, I'm not here to give you any medical advice. I'm just relaying what has happened to myself and other people I've consulted over the many, many years, including bodybuilders. If you want, just take the enclomiphene, about 12 and a half milligrams to maybe 25 milligrams for just 1 week. All right. That's all it takes to tell your body to like, hey, let's start producing more testosterone. And then take an herbal testosterone booster the next 3 weeks to maybe 6 weeks. I love Alpha Viral. I've been telling you guys to take it for years and years. I've been taking it for 25 years. I put the link below. Again, you don't have to take it if you don't want to. Results in 30 days, or you pay nothing and you get additional $100 cash back. Why? Because Alpha Viral is that effective. But again, don't take it if you don't want to. There's lots of other products. Or take a look at the ingredients and just copy it by using it someone else. All right. I don't really care. This is exactly what has worked for people, and that's the original cycle that I did for the porn stars back in the day. Remember, the enclomiphene tells your testicles to produce more sperm and testosterone, and a 1 week is good enough. And it prevents your body from getting accustomed to it. And then you take Alpha Viral to continue on, increase the free testosterone levels, and also balance out other hormones, DHT, estrogen, and cortisol. That's why it's great. The free testosterone matters more. Again, 1 week of enclomiphene, 3 weeks of Alpha Viral seems to work. Best part is no needles, right? No testicular shrinkage, no hair loss, your better mood, right? Better hormones, harder erections, and just a more positive outlook and more confidence versus you taking Clomid all the time. At least, try this protocol before you do injections, testosterone. I tell people once you start, you can't stop. You won't stop. It's so hard to stop. So do testosterone injections at the end after you've tried everything, right? Even, everything natural, and Clomid is at least far more natural than injection because it's working with your body. Anyhow, I put additional resources below in the link, in the description area. If you want more information about HCG or anything else, let me know as well in the description area. I hope this was helpful. Let me know. Thumbs up, prescribe, subscribe, and do all that stuff. Thanks. Have a great day.